Well, the transfer window slammed shut 47 minutes ago. And guess what? We're still none the wiser to whether Axel Disasi is gonna become a West Ham United player tonight. It rolls on. We're going to go through all of it live here on West Ham Unofficial this evening. And my beacon of joy, Sam, is with me to project optimism. How are you feeling, Sam?
I'm projecting optimism. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
It is. It is.
I know we're not the only club that has submitted deal sheets. And actually, you look at a lot of the teams that have submitted deal sheets. There's us, there's Wolves, there's Forest. Like, I'm not saying there's a correlation between those three clubs, but like it's quite stark that it's the teams down the bottom that are doing a lot of the real last minute stuff.
Indeed. Indeed. We're going to go through all of the detail we know as and when we do it. And dependent on my sanity, we may well be here at 9 o'clock when it officially slams shut for the deal sheet. But all of that is to come very, very shortly. Just heard Axel wants a Greg's sausage roll after every game to sign. That's what's stopped it. That's what's halted the deal. You wanted Greg's sausage roll, and David Sullivan went, not on my watch, not on my watch. JC can make him an air fryer pizza. I've just eaten an air fryer pizza, and here are the remains of such air fryer pizza, just the cutter. Oh, and I've now got that on my jeans. Lovely. That was lovely. And I've also, to get us through this pain, right, I've got a massive bag of M&Ms. Other chocolate is, of course, available. They're very nice. Sam, I wish I could give you one right now, but I can't.
No, that's all right. I'm tanked up on Pepsi Max, and I've just chucked some chili con carne down my throat to be ready in time for the show. So I'm all good at the moment.
Very good. Thank you for the dedication. Mike's still in Lanzarote. We do note this stuff weekly. Michael, at this point, who cares if he doesn't want to come or go into the Chelsea, right in the Chelsea reserves? I sense you're getting to the end of your tether, Michael, with it, to be totally honest. And I admire it because I am just the same. He could eat his Greg's sausage roll from the bench. That is very true. Good evening, Terry. I hope you are well. No bounty, no, just crispy M&Ms, and I must say they're very nice. Right, we're going to start with what we know, which is not a lot, but what we do know, and the latest information I've heard, is that the deal sheet has been submitted by West Ham for Axel Disasi on time. Tick that box, right? We've done something right. We have got the deal sheet in before 7 o'clock. However, here we go. It doesn't count as a guarantee that the deal will go through. The full paperwork has to be submitted within 2 hours of the deadline passing, in this case, 9 p.m. The loan deal was still alive at 7 p.m. with a few more hurdles on the paperwork to resolve. There's more hurdles in this deal than there are at Cheltenham. The amount of hurdles that I have had to hear chucked out today is ridiculous. So effectively now, we have got an hour and 10 minutes, Sam. Maybe I'll get that timer thing back up again. We've got an hour and 10 minutes to get it all finalised. And we've heard from pretty good sources that Axel Disasi has been an absolute nightmare to deal with.
Just what we need.
Yeah.
We've spent the window trying to get rid of players that don't want to be here or have got no use or whatever. I think it's probably safe to say we've done a fairly good job of that. But it's good. We're going to bring in another guy that seems to not want to be here.
Yeah.
I would say that I think when we're seeing who it is that are reporting that stuff, it is people that make their money out of clickbait. It's people that make their money out of winding up the West Ham faithful to click on things, to do whatever, to join videos at 7:45 of an evening. I don't know. No, not you, but we look at where it is, and it's the usual suspects that are saying this is a player that doesn't want to be here. So I'm taking all of that with a pinch of salt, as I often do with these sorts of when it sort of comes from these things, because what West Ham have said and what they've said to Sky and what they seem to have said to Jacob Steinberg is that these are actually things that we come up against with all players. There's always some sort of bits to iron out. So who knows what's true. But given that probably this is the guy that we need to come in and try and help us stay up, I think for now, I'm going to try and get behind the guy, because let's face it, he probably can't be worse than an out of sorts and out of confidence Max Kilman.
That is a very true statement. Very true statement. Now, we've got a little bit of excitement on deadline day. Not the way we'd really want it, but just as a bit of an insight for you watching at home, this is the West Ham YouTube Christmas day. This is deadline day, is like the day. I mean, if you go onto YouTube now, I'll be shocked if there's not any of the main West Ham YouTubers live now. Everybody is on it. Everybody loves it. And everybody just wants the information, and everybody's pantsing for it. We have got an hour and 8 minutes left to get this deal done, to get whatever we need, the hurdles. You know, we need to jump over them hurdles. We need to get to the finish line, and we need to get this player signed, sealed, delivered by 9 p.m. Now, it feels like a long way away, and it is a long way away. Trust me, it is when you've done about 4 hours of streaming in a day. We've got a long way to go. And listen, we can read between the lines, Sam, that these these issues are obviously money based. They're not going to be, are you going to play me or not? Because he's been sat not even on the bench at Chelsea for 3 years. So this isn't first team sort of like priority issues. This is quite clearly money issues, whether it's a signing on bonus, whether it's wages, whatever it is, there's some sort of issue. And my prediction is that Sullivan doesn't want to pay it, and Disasi is sticking to his guns currently. Somebody's going to have to fold in the next 66 minutes, Sam.
I hear what you're saying. I don't disagree, but there were lots of reports coming out before the weekend that Disasi wasn't looking at us because he didn't think he'd get in the first team. That he was worried that basically he would leave Chelsea, where he's not even really making the bench, to come and sit on our bench with Max Kilman, with Lithuanian bloke, like just amongst the I don't know his name. I genuinely don't know his name, but like sort of amongst those players that sort of you might get 15, 20 minutes. So I think there might be something around that. I want to be your first choice centre back, and I can imagine Nuno going back and saying, no, you're not going to be our first team choice centre back. You'll play the next 3 games. You might play the next 5 games, because who knows what's going to happen with Tobido. But beyond that, I can't guarantee you're going to be in the first team. And I think we've seen that he's quite happy to drop players that aren't performing. We've seen that he's been quite happy to do that and fiddle around with bits and pieces. I'm not sure how it works with the money side of things, because it's a loan signing. So I doubt we can pay him more than his wages. I've never known a loan signing to be that you pay someone 150% of their wages, but maybe there's some sort of staying up bonus or something or other that maybe we're looking at. I don't know.
Well, this is the issue that we have here, because Axel Disasi, I think, is on about 80 grand a week at Chelsea currently. Now, you can imagine Chelsea are trying, and this is, listen, I haven't got a clue, right? This is purely inferring from the situation. I've been doing this a while, and you get to know how these things work. And I've got a feeling that the way this is panning out is, let's just say it is 80 grand a week that Axel Disasi wants, okay? That Axel Disasi is currently on at Chelsea, 80 grand a week. Now, normally, take the James Ward-Prowse loan, for example. So we're still paying £37,500 a week of James Ward-Prowse's weekly wage. So it normally gets split. 60-40 tends to be the way that it goes. So, Sam, you're probably better at maths than I am. What's a 60-40 split of 80 for £80,000? Because I'll balls it up.
Well, 40 is half, isn't it? It's going to be about sort of between 45 and 50, somewhere around there. But I think it depends on the player. Like you definitely say that for most teams, James Ward-Prowse probably looks like we're slightly overpaying his wages, given that he hasn't played this season, or hasn't played since Nuno came in. Is 80 grand a week a lot for a defender that's probably going to be in our starting lineup? I don't know. And ultimately, ultimately, he'll still be getting 80 grand a week. I doubt he gives a toss where it's coming from. He cares that it's in his bank account. I don't know if these players actually get paid weekly or monthly or what happens, but like ultimately, he cares the money's in his bank account. I don't think he cares whether it's coming from Sullivan, whether it's coming from Chelsea, whatever. But I've never known a loan signing to be on 150% of their wages or something. So if it's money related, it must be a staying up bonus. And to be honest, give him what he wants, because if we stay up, that's worth what they say it's worth 150 million or something to the club if we stay up.
Yeah.
So unless he's asking for 150 million, like, give him what he wants, because he's then got to perform.
Yeah.
Because he's not going to get it unless he performs. So at the moment, we're in a situation where we're 6 points off that position, and it's that sort of we've got to pick up more points than Forest or Leeds or Palace or Tottenham or some other team. We've got to be picking up more points than them between now and the end of the season. So give him what he wants.
Absolutely. Still transfer related, it does fascinate me. So basically, from about 6 until 7 p.m. on, today, everybody has been going absolutely mental on Twitter about, this not signing anyone and the deal and everything else. In the last hour, everybody has just been waxing lyrical about this new geezer we've signed, Keeba Lambadrid, because he scored inside 12 minutes on his West Ham debut against Middlesbrough in the under-23s. West Ham were 3-2
Is this
up
the
at half-time.
Venezuelan bloke?
This is Keeba Lambadrid, who we've got on loan.
One sec while I change his score on my sheet.
Keeba Lambadrid has scored on his West Ham debut, and people are getting excited about him. And to be fair, I don't blame people, to be honest, because there's not a lot to get excited about. Even if we do sign Axel Disasi in the next hour, it's not exactly, groundbreaking, is it? But I mean, look, the point you make about the money and the relegation is absolutely bang on, because we find ourselves in a situation here where this is a mess, right? This has been a mess for all to see, right? And we now find ourselves in a situation where it looks like we're haggling over small amounts of money in this grand scheme of things. If we stay up, and if Sullivan wants to sell the club, then how much he gets is going to dramatically decrease if we go down. And he'll know that. He's not daft. He's a Wally, but he's not daft. So he will be well aware of that. And I just cannot get my head around how in this situation, he's done the medical. It's basically done. Give the bloke what he wants. Whether Chelsea want us to pay 60 grand a week. May I just remind you that we paid James Ward-Prowse £125,000 a week all season. Are we hassling over another £20,000 a week for this guy? Where it's him or bust. There's nothing else. The transfer deadline is shut. It's done. We're in unprecedented times here where we are after the window, and we're going to go through deal sheets in a second just for some informative based content. But just surely,
that's
Sam,
what makes me think it isn't money related. I think there's something else. I think he's asking for guaranteed first team football. If it genuinely is something that is a lot more like, so if we believe the X's of this world that are saying, look, this is unprecedented, no one's ever sort of asked for this sort of stuff before, then it must be playing time. There's the alternative that we believe what's coming out of the club and what they're saying to Sky, and this was just sort of normal hiccups and they've been blown out of proportion and this is all going to go through. And I guess we'll know really what the answer to that is in an hour now. Or maybe less. Maybe it will come through before then. But let's face it, it's West Ham. It'll be an hour, or 58 minutes or something. But
oh no, it will be more, because we've just got to let them know by 9 o'clock. We don't have to announce it by 9. We could announce it
tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah, that'd be enough. I mean, I said we'll sit here till it's announced. If it's not announced by 9:10, then I'm going to bed. But but the thing with it is that absolutely, I take your point, and it's what's baffling my brain about this. I've never seen anything like it. How you've got a player that you'd think it's either money or first team guarantee, but you've got a player that's played 2 games since January last year. So whether he's woke up today and went, right, I want first team football, but then if he doesn't sign for us today and this all dramatically collapses, he's going to go back to Chelsea and not play any football. So if I'm him, I'm thinking, well, I reckon I'm going to get a little bit more game time at West Ham than I am at Chelsea currently. So let's just cut the losses and accept it. Or is he going to go, I want first team football here. I want to start on Saturday. I'm going to be the new main centre back. First name on the team sheet. That's the guarantee that I want from Nuno. And if not, then he's going to go back to Chelsea and sit on the bench and on his 80 grand a week doing not a lot. So it's bewildering and baffling, isn't it?
It's all a bit strange. As I say, my hope is that, and I got this from Sky. I'm not going to pretend that I've got some link at the club. I definitely don't. But before I came on here, the last thing that Sky was saying is that this was the club are saying that these were just normal negotiations that had to get ironed out and whatever. So I'm going to, for once, give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's just presume that's what it is. It was just, this was late in the day. That's why this has been extended. I say it looks like there's quite a few loan deals that are just getting announced now. Quite a lot of the short-term deals seem to be that they're coming through like right now. Keep refreshing it. Nottingham Forest have got their left back from Borussia Mönchengladbach.
I do have some breaking news actually, and here's good news for West Ham. We can all breathe a huge sigh of relief, according to Sean Whetstone. So I think we're there. Essentially, Sean Whetstone has just posted in the last 3 minutes on Twitter, all issues with Axel Disasi's loan have been resolved. The deal sheet was submitted before 7 p.m. The final paperwork still needs to be submitted for the transfer to be valid, but all issues have been resolved. So West Ham now have 57 minutes to submit to the Premier League, and this deal will be done. So we're now going to be having a little scout through, and we're expecting a announcement, hopefully imminently. This might not be the last twist in the tale, but it's a significant moment. We've got one of the big two from inside of the club, outside of the club, as you could probably call it, who Sean Whetstone's called it this evening. He has said, he's been wrong in the past, haven't they all? They've all been wrong in the past. So there's no guarantee until we see it on that West Ham website, but it's the biggest indication we've had in the last 2 hours, really, that Axel Disasi will be a West Ham player tonight. So it seems like whatever the issues were, Sam, were resolved. Whether we find out what these issues were at all, we will never know. I'm sure it will be drip fed out in the coming days, but it seems like we're making progress, which I guess is positive.
Yeah, I think ultimately what the problems were, whether there were any problems, whatever it was, I think are they're almost irrelevant. It doesn't matter. I think we are very bad as a club at letting fans know that he farted during the medical. Like every single little thing has to be leaked, and we've sort of spoken about this recently around sort of those leaks that were coming out of the dressing room that seemed to have stopped. So one of those players that's left this month was clearly one of the sources there. But whoever it is that's behind the scenes, whether it's one person, whether it's 100 people, whatever, it doesn't do anything to help the club at all. It doesn't do anything to make the fans happy. I think it probably does the opposite, because I don't think any other club has the running commentary that we do of whatever it is. And then I think we then end up in this situation where, and I sort of heard you talk about it earlier, but I was in a meeting and wasn't meant to be also watching you on YouTube at the same time. But I don't think my boss watches this channel. If you do, Joel, then I'm sorry. I was watching this at the same time. But the talking about the we tried sort of stuff, that I think is always the narrative that then comes out. But I don't think it often comes out from the club. It comes out from those other people that are like, oh, we tried to get this person. We tried to get this person. And it seems to almost come from someone has gone to someone within the club and gone, would West Ham like to sign Lionel Messi? Like, yeah, of course we'd like to sign Lionel Messi. Even now, let's face it, we'd take Messi if he was offered to us right now. And then someone puts out a post that goes, West Ham seriously looking at Lionel Messi. So, well, no, that isn't what was said, was it? Like, of course we would sign him. Of course we'll take a look, because if his agent comes forward and goes, Lionel fancies playing at the London Stadium. It's been his dream since a child or whatever. But of course we're going to go for it. But we just seem to have this running commentary of players that, of course, we would like. But of course, we're going to look at 30 different right backs before we sign our right back. We'd be bad at being a football club if we weren't doing that. And we've all played Football Manager at some point, and we all do exactly the same. We look at 10, 20 different right backs or left backs or whatever the position might be. We put in stupid offers of players that are never going to sign for us, because you never know what's going to happen. And I think we really do need to sort of try and cut out some of this sort of running commentary stuff, and that's not me having a go at you, because I don't think that's what you do on here. I wouldn't be here if I thought it was what you do. But those sort of people that, as I say, are making a career out of sort of the minute by minute, second by second non-updates, but I better come up with something because every time that I release something, I make an extra few quid sort of stuff. And I really do think that's where a lot of the problems come in, because you look at our...
It does just, you know, yeah, I mean, I think it does just stir it up. Like, I mean, today, we've all been hanging on coattails, waiting today. Like, I mean, the amount of times I've refreshed Twitter in the last 3 hours is, you know, it's ridiculous, because I'm looking for my 5 or 6 sources that I trust in my mind, and I'm looking for them to say something. One thing I will add, could be worse. We could be Tottenham right now. Christian Romero has just posted on Instagram. Great effort from all my teammates yesterday. They were incredible. I wanted to be available, but I felt unwell at half time, especially since we only had 11 players available. Unbelievable, but true and disgraceful.
Wow.
So that is the club captain of Tottenham publicly calling out the board for not signing any players on deadline day. Imagine if Jarrod Bowen would do that now. Imagine if Jarrod Bowen went on Twitter now and went, "Thanks for the support on Saturday. Absolutely disgraceful that we haven't signed any more players."
But we did have that, though, a little bit, didn't we? When Nobes came
Mark
out
Noble.
and moaned
Yeah, Mark
about
Noble.
Diangara being sold, and whatever happened to him?
Yeah,
He's almost at a level now where he'll start getting linked to West Ham again.
exactly. Yeah. Oh, it's a laughing stock, isn't it? It is a laughing stock. But there we are. So we've had plenty of twists and turns today. We've had the local hospital involved, whatever local hospital that may be. I think that's definitely because they didn't want to show him Rush Green, because that would have definitely finished him off. To be honest, you wait till they drive him around there tomorrow. Go, here you go, Axel. Here's lovely Rush Green, state of the art. Look at them porter cabins there. Look lovely. Nice lick of paint. Could sort that out on there. So he'll have a nice shock when he enters the training facility. I wouldn't even call it a facility, to be honest, a training ground tomorrow. But it seems like we've made a big step into signing him. So, 1-0 Sunderland, jolly good. That is very good indeed. So the Black Cats are taking a lead. They are the only unbeaten side at home remaining in the Premier League. And let's hope that that continues this evening. Right. Let's take some of your comments. Michael says, it's like not playing Wilson, Jake, to save pennies. If the guy scores the goals that keeps us up, it's worth playing him. Absolutely. I mean, I don't disagree with starting Wilson and Tatty from the start, but I think Wilson should be included sooner than he is. I mean, I've certainly identified in the last few weeks where, I don't know what it is, whether the two new blokes haven't quite adapted to the longevity and fierceness of the Premier League, but after sort of 55, definitely an hour, their threat fades and dies. Excuse the pun. It weakens in that sense. That's the perfect opportunity. And you think Nuno would be switched on to go, right, then Wilson comes on the hour mark. And what difference that would have made to the away end on Saturday, Sam, if all of a sudden, if Wilson would have came on instead of Kilman on the hour mark, then it might have all ended a little bit different. But, ifs and buts.
I don't think we're often going to see Tatty and Wilson as a front two.
Yeah.
Like I think there's lots of reasons for that, but we all talk about this being a 4-4-2, but I think it is more 4-4-1-1, if you know what I mean. Like Pablo is playing behind Tatty for most of the game, and Wilson is not going to play behind someone because A, he's not got the speed for that, and B, that isn't what we've brought him into the club to do. I think the more I've sort of thought through the substitution, and I think it would just have made so much more sense. Where we're getting overrun in midfield, you take Pablo off and you bring on Potts or you bring on Magassa at that point to shore up the midfield. And if that doesn't work and we're still getting overrun, then you pull the emergency cord and you bring on Kilman and you go, okay, well, we're going to bring on Kilman for whoever it is that we're going to bring him on for. But I think there were other things that could have been done. Ultimately, as soon as Chelsea made those changes at halftime, they'd won that game. And I think a lot, certainly where we were, I think that was inevitable. And it was almost like, how long can we hang on to 2-0? Because the longer we hang on, the better a chance we have got of probably hanging on to a point. Was probably what we were all thinking. We might not have said it out loud, but I think it is what that seemed to be the feeling when they scored that first goal. It became inevitable, didn't it? But
yeah.
Look, every manager makes mistakes in terms of the changes, and I also think that had we brought on Magassa or Potts or whatever, and then we had lost that game 3-2, everyone would have moaned that we didn't bring on an extra defender and we brought on a midfielder. It is one of those that, in hindsight, yeah, you should probably have done the other way round. We should certainly have seen Wilson earlier on. I'd like to have seen Wilson for Tati earlier in the game. The other thing that we could have done, and I think maybe might happen going forward, but maybe he was sort of aware that Bowen, there was a fitness test, wasn't there, on Bowen before the game, was maybe bring Traore on for Paolo, chuck him out on the wing and sort of have Bowen coming through the middle behind a striker. We know Bowen's quite happy playing through the middle, but being there with a striker as well could be really good for his game. I think he likes to cut inside anyway. And I think maybe we might start to see that over the next few weeks. If we can get Traore up to a point where he can do half an hour of that sort of trundling like a tank down the wing. He's not going to beat anyone for pace, but he will barge them off the ball a little bit. I think we might start to see that. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see over the next few weeks.
We will, absolutely. And I'll urge everybody, once this is finished, go and have a little look at Fibre La Madrid's goal for the under-21s. It's an excellent goal from outside of the box on his left foot. He bends it into the corner really, really nicely. And as Terry says here, 2 goals in 2 minutes from corners. Good practice for moving up to the first team, because we are renowned for that nowadays, aren't we? But no, it's an excellent goal from him. And maybe there's a bit of hope from the loanee. And I'm not talking about Disasi. I think we signed him permanently, actually. My apologies. Fibre La Madrid, my mate Fibre, has signed for West Ham United. Yeah, Paul says it here. Evening, Jake. La Madrid's goal tonight was quality under 21s versus Middlesbrough. 3-2 up. Go to bed, DG. That has resurfaced on many occasions on Twitter today. The famous David Gold tweet from many, many moons ago. And it seems like we're going to be getting pretty close to that pretty soon. And hopefully that announcement, and we can have clarity, because that would go a long way at the moment. Clarity would be very, very nice. And somebody, literally, I opened Twitter and the first tweet was somebody with laughing emojis to "Don't go to bed, DG" on Twitter. It is very pertinent. It always comes out on deadline day, and especially when we've had a drama-filled, action-packed, all for one player. I mean, how far deadline days have fallen off. Used to be till 11 o'clock. I'd have started this show at 8 tonight, and I'd have been here all the way through to 11. But no, instead we've got to be till 7 o'clock, and that's it. I mean, at least we've got a little bit more fun to drag it out till 9, Sam. But it's no fun. I mean, it's not if it work tomorrow, but I mean, it's no fun, really, is it?
The 7 o'clock is really odd.
I
don't really understand it. I'm trying to remember the last time we weren't playing on the last day of the January transfer. We always get this fixture. It's almost like they go, when's the transfer window closing? Well, we'll put the West Ham fixture there and we'll work everything else out around it. So it's been quite nice, I suppose. We've not been having to get ready for Sunderland away or something ridiculous. So there was absolutely no chance for signing anyone today. But yeah, I don't understand the 7, because I think it's 11 still in Scotland.
It is, yeah.
So it seems very, very strange. Not quite sure what's going on there.
Absolutely. It's beginning to be corroborated across the board. Jacob Steinberg 5 minutes ago. West Ham now confident of getting Axel Disasi loan done before the 9 p.m. deadline. That's not as definitive as what Sean was. That still leaves a slight door ajar by the word in there. West Ham now confident. Well, I'm confident of becoming Prime Minister, but I don't think it might not. It might not happen. It might happen. You never know.
I love the idea of you being Prime Minister and presenting Match of the Day. That's a combination that we've never seen before that I think the world needs.
I'll bring new heights and new levels to it. Trust me. Trust me. That would be entertaining. But right, so this show was initially going to be a West Ham transfer window review, where we were going to have a little look through the players that have come and gone. It's slightly been overshadowed by the drama that is unfolding and unraveling. So we are going to have a little look at the players that we've let go and signed very shortly. But before we do, Let's just reiterate on deal sheets. Let's have a little look here. So I learned something when I looked through this. So this is on the official Premier League website. So clubs can sometimes conclude deals at the last minute, and it is not always easy for them to get everything completed and sent over by the deadline, i.e. they're really bad at organisation. The deal sheets allow a club to confirm that a deal has been reached in order to allow for additional time to submit the remaining documentation and sort out the wage structure of Axel Disasi. For a deadline of 7 o'clock, the deal sheet cannot be used before 5 o'clock and needs to arrive fully completed before the transfer window closes. You watch David Sullivan's completed it and not put the loan and like money on there. He's just like sort of sent it off. Once the sheet arrives, clubs have another 2 hours or until 9 o'clock in which to submit the full paperwork. Do you like that, Sam? Do you think that's a good idea? Obviously, it's coming to our help now, but only because of our pure incompetence as a football club. But do you think, I mean, I'd argue that a month is long enough. If you can't get your deals done in a month, then you don't deserve to get them done, is my opinion. But in this situation, it's coming to our saviour.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because I think if it is just the signing off the formalities, then yeah, does it matter whether part one of the paperwork is done on time? Which I guess it's had to. We couldn't just put someone on there that we've not even started speaking to. So I think it is just that sort of ironing out the creases sort of thing at the end. I think maybe with the 7 o'clock finish it kind of works. If I was a Scottish football fan and it was 11 o'clock and they put in a sheet and therefore it's 1 a.m., I think that's something very different. So I think maybe they need to sort of look at how things are sort of communicated. That maybe it's everything needs to be in with the FA by 9 o'clock, but actually you've got until 11 o'clock just to iron, or whatever the times are going to be in the future. Just to get those sort of last little bits ironed out. But as you say, it's helped us this time. And actually, I look at what those other teams are doing around us, and I would say that they have had worse transfer window deadline days than us. Wolves have clearly given up. But let's ignore. But like, if you look at Forest, I think they've had a terrible transfer deadline day. And I've still had to use this extra 2 hours to get their one deal through. So I'll take it this year.
Absolutely. Yeah, so it's an interesting one. And as you said, if it's a midnight and then back to 2 or 11 to 1, it becomes slightly problematic in that sense. But yeah, I mean, whether it's a difference between getting it done and not getting it done, if you can submit one half of the paperwork at 6:59 and you don't have time to do the other paperwork, so then the deal falls through, then potentially that's good. But I mean, 2 hours is a long time. Maybe not in football contract negotiations, but keeping our eyes peeled on that. So let's go through our transfer window then. So it all started off rather undramatically, in a nice timely fashion. We signed Pablo and Tati in the first couple of days of the window, and I thought we meant business. So after seeing them for a month, Sam, our two new strikers, I mean, they've absolutely improved us. There's no doubt about that. But how have you? What were your expectations a month ago, and have they changed? Has your opinions changed since then?
I think I was with you when the transfer window opened, and I thought we would sign 2 players and then we'd replace players that maybe we got rid of. And I thought we'd sign a centre back, and I thought we'd sign a striker. And then suddenly we were looking at 2 strikers, and I think we were both sat there sort of going, there's no way we'll sign 2 strikers. We're West Ham. Why would we sign 2 strikers? And I agree. I think it was really refreshing to get deals done in the first few days of the window. I think they've both come in and hit the ground running. I think hit the ground much better than I think anyone thought they would. A guy from a second string side in Portugal, and someone that every Lazio fan seemed to be quite happy to get rid of. I think they've come in. I think the shape of the team since they've come in is just so much better. We've got a shape, we look like we're an attacking side. We look like we want to score goals, and that's new. So I've been really impressed with them. They both need a Premier League goal, but actually, if between now and the end of the season we get 20 goals from Bowen and Somerville because they have allowed them to play the way they want to play, which is sort of what we're seeing at the moment, that, well, actually we'd be on for a lot more than 20 goals. But if we can get 20 goals from those two players between now and the end of the season, I don't care if Tito and Pablo don't put the ball in the back of the net, if they've allowed that for other players to then score those goals. It doesn't matter who puts them in. It's just about winning the games, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And look, they freed up Bowen and Somerville, and you can say that it's been, helpful the way it's fallen with the two going up front and Bowen and Somerville looking a lot better. And I think that's a direct impact of the formation change that West Ham and Nuno have done. And listen, I've been full credit for Nuno for changing it. To go 4-4-2, it was bold. It's probably something that, you don't see very often in the Premier League anymore, but it's worked, right? And it worked. It works in the first half of every game that we've played for the last few weeks. And unfortunately, it all seems to unravel in the second half. But the issue that it is that if one of them gets injured, then does Wilson come in to replace one of them as a straight swap, or do you think we then make a complete formation change and revert back to the one man up front, which we know doesn't work?
I was pleasantly surprised that we stuck with the formation against a team like Chelsea.
I thought he'd change it. I thought he'd change it.
I thought he'd change it. And I think he'd been really justified in changing it. And I think ultimately it worked in the first half against Chelsea, and it didn't work when Chelsea brought their first team on. And in particular, Pedro in the second half, it just didn't work anymore. And okay, we changed it, and that didn't really work either. I think it depends who picks up a knock. I think if Tito gets injured, I think Wilson comes in. I think it's a straight swap. I think it works well. I think where we're lacking is in that Pablo position. You may be looking at Bowen could fill in there, but I'm not sure that Adama is a 90-minute footballer. And I think we are still sort of lacking in that position. That's one that with Paquetá going, that was a position I've put down on my sheet in front of me that above Disasi we needed 3 more players today, and that was one of them, was someone to fill in there. But there also might be someone coming up from the youth team. I don't know whether Kante could fill in there potentially. I've really liked him when he's come on.
It feels desperate, doesn't it?
Might quite like that role as well. So maybe there are more things that have been thought about, because we weren't linked with anyone in that position, and that makes me feel that Nuno seemingly is happy with one player that can play that second striker kind of role.
But I think what sums it up the most is that Nuno either wasn't listened to, which is a concern regarding midfielder, or he didn't want one, because we were linked with more goalkeepers than we were linked with midfielders in this window, and that tells you everything you need to know, because we don't need a goalkeeper, right? That's at the bottom of the pile. And how people were still talking about that Kinski from Spurs yesterday was beyond me, and I'm glad that his name hasn't resurfaced today, because that would have just been ridiculous. With all of our other issues across the pitch that we see and we are experiencing now. So the fact, you're right, Sam, the fact we weren't linked with a midfielder, to me suggests that Nuno was content and happy with what he had. But then I go back to what he said at the start of the month. He said at the start of January that this squad needs rebalancing and we need to bring players in. I don't know what his idea of rebalancing is, but we have let go a lot of players and not brought in a lot. So if this was his idea of rebalancing, then yeah, we've got rid of Deadwood. Okay, in the midfield, we've got Potts and Magassa, but you've just got to look at squads with injuries. We've been incredibly lucky with a very minimal amount of injuries this season. So having said that, all it takes is a couple of midfielders to go down, a couple of centre-halves go down, and we're done, right?
I think that's true of most clubs, though. Like, I think unless you're playing in Europe, the squads now are getting smaller again just because of the size of wages. But when I was writing down earlier, sort of what I was thinking of the team, where do we need to sign players, and hopefully we'll get someone, I went back to something that Moyes said, and that was that there was a point, and I think it was after we sold Rice, but it might have been the year before. So apologies if I get it wrong. But we had, for the first time in a long time, 2 players in every position. And I thought, you know what, that's what I'm going to go through and go, have we got 2 players in every position? Because that's what we need ultimately for and yeah, we might pick up 4 injuries in the central midfield, but you can't have like 5, 6, 7 players that are waiting to play, because that's what we have had. That's why we've been able to get rid of quite a lot of deadwood and players that weren't happy and maybe bring down the morale. And I think we're left. We still need another centre back, because we've now got. We're including Kilman in that 4, and I think we'd rather we weren't. But look, if he's the 4th defender, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
But I was still hoping we'd try and get 2 centre backs today. I had put down that we need another left winger, but look, if Venezuelan bloke actually is better than maybe we were thinking he was going to be, then maybe he can be a backup for Somerville.
I've thought about the winger thing today, and I've thought about it, and it did sort of surprise me when Juve came in for Skulls, and it got me thinking earlier today as I was gazing into the distance inside Wembley, and I was thinking, well, push comes to shove, if we're a left winger short, then you could put Skulls at left back and you could push Juve further forward, because I mean he was much more attack minded. And then even when he made the change on Saturday, when Skulls came on for Juve, I turned to the person next to me and went, well, that's a defensive change, because Skulls is a lot more defense minded, which is nothing wrong with that. He's a defender, right?
Yeah.
I'm glad he's defense minded, but push comes to shove, then I think probably what he's thinking is Juve can be pushed forward. Like, do you remember we chucked Fredericks forward for a couple of games years ago? I think was it that Villa game where we doubled up and they pushed Fredericks forward. Juve is that sort of player where he could become that left winger that then again means we haven't got to sign one today, because we haven't signed one.
Yeah, and we've got Myers, haven't we? That Nuno seems really keen on. So actually, yeah, that makes sense. So then the only position where we don't have 2 players at that point is the Pablo position. And I do think we've got sort of options there, because Souček loves a bit of pretending he's a striker. I think Fernandez would operate quite nicely. I think we'd lose some impact from him, but he could operate there, and you could play someone more defensive like Potts or Magassa behind. You could bring Bowen into the middle. So look, we're paper thin. We're absolutely paper thin on the ground. But are we a better team than we were at the beginning of the transfer window? I think the answer to that is probably yes. I think we probably got rid of one too many central midfielders. I'd like us to have kept either Ward-Prowse or Irving personally. I like Andy Irving. I think he's one of those players that just works hard, and you know what you're going to get from him. It's going to be a 6, 7 out of 10, but like, he'll put his body on the line, and sometimes you need those sorts of players. But at the same point, he wants to get to the World Cup, and so he probably didn't want to hang around. And I think that's why we were looking at these goalkeepers well, is I think Hermanson behind the scenes is going, look, I need to be playing more. I need to be playing more. And we're going, like, you're a liability. So I really hope, for Hermanson's sake, that we can keep a clean sheet against Burton, because I would guess he'll be in for that game. If he can, and look, we've got to keep a clean sheet against Burton Albion. But that might
I wouldn't be so sure. I wouldn't be so sure.
But yeah, I think that's where all these goalkeeper rumours were coming from. Because I think there was a lot of Hermanson's going to go somewhere to get some first team football, and then we would have had to sign a goalkeeper on loan to replace him going out on loan. But I'm pleased that it would have been ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a couple of things to note. We have now gone past 8:30, which means we have less than 30 minutes remaining of this additional time that we have left. Another bit of housekeeping: there is a poll in the chat. I'm liking these polls. And what about this, Sam? I mean, you've probably got the chat open, so you've seen it. But so we've currently got, we've got 38 votes Is Axel Disasi a good signing for West Ham? And we are currently 50-50, 19 votes each. Is Disasi a good signing? Yes or no? So I can guarantee you that there is at least 20 people that are watching this live that have not voted. So if you want to have your say, have a little vote. Now let's get that up to 50 votes. Is Axel Disasi a good signing for West Ham? If you're watching live, at the top of the live chat, click the white little tab, have your vote. Yes or no for Axel Disasi. Not that it's going to change anything because it looks like we're going to sign him, but 28 minutes remaining. It's like Christmas Day. It's like 28 minutes to go. But of course, they don't have to announce it at 9 o'clock, and they probably won't. So it'll be the biggest anticlimax, but you're all here. You're all here. And as well, there'll be a joke at 25 likes. There will be a joke at 25 likes. We have currently got 43 people watching, and there's currently only, what are we on? Oh, there's 27 likes. Oh, jolly good. Well, you all must want a joke then. That's good. That's good. Right. Are you
Wait,
ready
I've
for a
liked
joke?
live. Can I unlike it?
No, you can't unlike it. It's done now. No. Right then, Sam. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I can kayak. Canoe. Brilliant. That's good. That's the timing of that was brilliant.
For your level, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's an Axel Disasi of a joke for me.
No, that is very good. One more for you. Why can't you ever run through a campsite?
I don't know.
You can only ran. It's always past tense. You're going past tense. Ran. You can't run. You can ran because it's past tense. You got it. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Oh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Right. Well, right. We will revisit the jokes at 30 likes, considering we're up to 27. So if you want some more jokes, smash that like button. Have a little vote in the live chat, and that will all be good. I've got a lot of people messaging me. But there we are. Popular person, you see. Sunderland 2, but that was another thing I was going to say. I've just clicked on the Twitter. The first tweet was "Don't go to bed, DG." The second tweet was "Go to bed, DG." The third tweet were "Blimey, Burnley are not very good in expletives." So listen,
Well,
we go
we've
there.
played a few teams into some form this season, so don't get excited too soon.
Exactly. But they apparently are not putting up a very good fight up at the Stadium of Light against the only unbeaten side at home this season in Sunderland. So it's a 2-0 lead for the Black Cats up on Wearside for them. Tommy, hope you well. I wish I still had hope. Some good performances recently, but trying to get a team who haven't kept a clean sheet in months to park the bus from 55 minutes onwards is insanity. I echo it. Listen, I can't agree anymore. It's bang on. It was ridiculous on Saturday. It was painful. But there we are. Burnley are most definitely saving themselves for Saturday. That is for sure. That is just nailed on. Traore, Sam. So Traore signed last week. Played yesterday. To be fair, from where I was stood, I actually thought he punched one of the Chelsea players at the end down in the corner, and I thought it was him that was going to be receiving the red card. But I sort of wish it was, to be honest, because Todibo is arguably a more important player at the moment. But he didn't do much on his debut. But it was a short, sharp debut for him. Do you have hope that that Traore will have? I'm going to put it in quotation marks, moderate success, because I don't know what that looks like really at West Ham.
I liked him when he came on. He's a typical West Ham kind of a player that we should have signed him 3 years ago, and I think we often sign players a few years too late. But I genuinely think, and maybe not against Chelsea, like we've got to remember, and they won't let you forget they won the World Club, whatever it's called, nonsense. But Chelsea are a very good side. They're a Champions League side. They're in the top 4, I think, in the league. If not, they're in the top 5. They're a very good side, and look, we got found out in the second half. But I think against lesser teams, when you bring on with 20, 25 minutes to go, Wilson and Traore, tired defenders are going to have a heart attack. Look, neither of them are going to win foot races, but against a tired defender, they're going to barge them out of the way. And as long as they can keep that legal, and we're all there, and sometimes refs can be a bit
I tell you what, I'm gonna have to stop you there. That is comment of the night. Traore could end up Sullivan's bodyguard.
I would love that.
Imagine him, right? If people start doing like Burnley-esque protests, start circling down by that bottom bit there, and then all of a sudden Traore leaves the bench, he just goes and stands next to Sullivan like this. I don't know why that image amused me so much.
No,
But
I like that. I like that.
Brilliant.
But yeah, I think he's going to be a good signing for us. It's something a bit different, and it's a bit of physicality, and sometimes we need that. And it's not like he's going to be playing all day, every game. He's a backup for Bowen, and we've not had a backup for Bowen all season, and we needed one. Yeah. And I think that, and look, the fans got very excited when he came on at the weekend. I think that alone, for me, I've written down that I think he's a 6 out of 10 signing for us.
Yeah, I think.
And for the money, an absolute bargain. 1 goal, and he's been 1 goal that wins us a point or 3 points, and he's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's just got to earn his money in game-changing substitute, performances, and that's essentially what he's been brought in to do. And yeah, look, it is what it is. So as a whole, we'll come on to players that have left the club in a minute. And then, honestly, if I had £1 for every time I said the word Disasi today, I would be a flipping millionaire. So we'll talk about him at the end, hopefully just in time for the 9 o'clock announcement, because I plan these things. West Ham don't, but I try my best. Someone's put this on Twitter. West Ham this window, players in 4 cost. I mean, these are approximate amounts, so give it a bit of leeway. So players in 4 around £44 million, players out 9 around £57 million has come into the club, or will in instalments over the years. Wages saved around £25 million over a year. With the Ward-Prowse, who was on 125 grand a week, that's been narrowed down. I've got a good feeling Rodriguez was on north of 100 grand a week as well, which is ridiculous. And just those other players that we let go in this window. So we've saved money on wages. We've spent less than we've got back in over the years. We haven't got all that money now because that Paqueta deal will be in about 16 installments over 18 years. But in the grand scheme of things, we've let go more players than we've brought in. We haven't rebalanced the squad. It's that interesting debate about whether we've weakened the squad or improved the squad between now and the start of January. Up front, undoubtedly, we've got better. Undoubtedly, we look a lot more lethal, a lot more threatening with those 2 players up there. I think we'll get through with the midfield. I'd have preferred us to bring one in today, but we'll get through with Souček, Fernandez, Potts and Magassa in there. Pablo dropping back in. Defence, the less is said about that, the better. But players that have left. So Irving's gone. Rodriguez has gone. Ward-Prowse has gone. Igor's gone. Paqueta's gone. Who am I missing?
Gilliam,
yeah, he's gone for 15 million quid. Yeah, so I guess the argument, my first question, Sam, is would you have kept any of those midfielders, Rodriguez, Irving, Ward-Prowse, and would you have kept any of those other players?
I think the club have been clear they'd have preferred to have kept Paqueta. I don't think that was in anyone's plan. So, yeah. But I think when you've got a player that has been done over as he has been done and everything, and he goes like, I just want to go home, I think the club probably did the right thing in letting him go. I think everyone was pleased to see the back of Guido Rodriguez. I've seen some people today on Twitter saying that we've got like 2, 3, 4 million for him. Everything that I've seen from the club is that we got about 200 grand for him, because basically it was paying off the bit because his contract was up at the end of the season. They could have signed him on a free. So
I've heard it's 200 grand with a bag of party bag M&Ms is what.
And you got the party bag M&Ms, so we only got 200 grand. So look, let's face it, we're all happy to see the back of him. Not that he was a bad player, but he wasn't Premier League quality. So I make it that actually we got more like 45 million in, and as you say, it's going to be lots of installments. Not that that's what it's all about, but I'd have kept one of Irving and James Ward-Prowse. if you're not going to play, and I guess what Ward-Prowse will come back at the end of the season is just a loan. But if you're not going to play Ward-Prowse, fine, send him out on loan. The guy must have been unhappy. But then I'd have kept Andy Irving. I think it would. Yeah. It's just a little bit of experience in that midfield. Like you look at that midfield now. Okay, we've got Souček, but Fernandez, Magassa, and Potts. Is that an average age of 22? And Potts is the experienced one in terms of the age. Like
it's a bit naive. I mean, let's just say it as it is. I think I would have kept Irving is one I'd have kept.
Yeah.
Because I think Ward-Prowse wanted to go, and you can't blame the bloke for going. There's obviously been some sort of falling out over the last 12 months with Nuno and Ward-Prowse, whether that was at Forest or whether it's continued at West Ham or whatever. Whatever's happened is irrelevant now, and he's gone. But I'd have kept Irving for experience. Yeah. I think it's a bit naive from the club, to be honest, because I'm not entirely convinced that Andy Irving would have pushed a move out of the club. Ward-Prowse wouldn't have pushed himself out, but he would have politely asked, would be my assessment of it. Yeah. Andy Irving, listen, if Nuno would have pulled Andy Irving into his office and said, look, Andy, you know you're not going to start. He's well aware of that. He seemed to be a nice bloke. He quite enjoyed his time at West Ham. And if you pulled him to the side and say, look, every now and then you might get 20 minutes off the bench, just as some extra legs in midfield, just to try and shore up games or help us change games, I think he'd have done that until the end of the season. Next season's different story, whether we're in this league or that league, whatever. But I think it was slightly naive letting Irving go for no real financial benefit. It's not helped us. It's just weakened us in that sense. And yeah, it will come back to bite us with a couple of injuries, ifs and buts, I know. Yeah. But you're right with the experience point, Sam. 22 and 21, Magassa and Potts. I know there's experience with Souček and Fernandez, but if one of those two goes...
Fernandez is only 21, isn't he?
Fernandez is only 21. So Souček is the only experience we've got out of a midfield quad, basically, out of those four.
Potts is a bit older, I think, but...
Is he?
I might be confusing with someone else. But he certainly hasn't got any Premier League experience.
Potts is 23. And Magassa, I've got a feeling, is 22. I've got a feeling. Magassa is October 2003. So that makes him 23, doesn't it? Yeah, so he's 23 as well. So...
Oh, that's why we let Irving go then, all that experience. Exactly. But Andy Irving for me is the big one. And as I say, I think we'd have kept Paquetá had he not. Yeah. And I understand why he's gone. And I don't blame the guy. But I think you look at it, Paquetá, we got 35 million for him. The guy didn't really want to be with us anymore. I think you've got to say it's a pretty good sale.
Cracking deal. Yeah.
We actually made a profit on Guido Rodriguez, which I think means that in the last 4 years, if you exclude Rice, because you kind of got to exclude Rice, we've made a profit on 2 players.
Who's the other one?
Kudus.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah.
So Kudus and Guido Rodriguez are the 2 best signings that West Ham made of the last 5 years.
And actually, why don't we throw a curveball in and say both of those were Tim Steiden signings?
He can definitely have the blame for Guido Rodriguez. I think a few people wanted to say they were the brains behind Kudus, but yeah, Tim Steiden signings. Andy Irving, he was just a squad player. Ward-Prowse is just a loan. Guillem, I can't believe we managed to trick anyone into giving us £15 million for him. So I think a bit of good business again there from the club, probably. He wasn't going to get any time. He wasn't, so I think really, for me, the more upsetting thing is we've let is like George Earthy, because surely when we are a little bit weak on the wings, Earthy would be that other choice. But I think you might have nailed it earlier when you talked about Jiff maybe being seen as pushing forward, and then you got Scarles and Myers as at the back. So I think the other big difference in this window over previous windows is I felt that every decision Nuno has made, with the possible exception of Paquetá, but because he wouldn't have picked 2, but I think he probably did give it his blessing in the end. But if the manager's happy, then I think for now, I'm not going to say that I'm unhappy with it. I do think the squad has got a better balance over it. It's weaker in numbers, but actually, you look at players that actually would have played a game, and really only Paquetá's gone.
Yeah. I mean, we've got rid of Deadwood. There's only Paqueta that left from the first team sort of, unit there. And it will be fine if we don't get any injuries, and that's a big if. I mean, we could afford a couple in midfield. It's probably the only area. But once we get past that, then maybe we could be in for concerns. But they've made that decision. They've made their bed. They're going to lay in it now, regardless of what happens. But I am in agreement where I get the sense that this has been more manager driven than what we've seen in the past. Look, he hasn't gone to Sullivan and went, I want Tati, Castellanos and Pablo, because he'd never heard of him a month ago, or 2 months ago. But look, they've obviously been scouted by our amazing scouting network somewhere, and look, they've slotted in, and they've obviously had the blessing of Nuno, because Nuno's played them, right? And he's played them both together, so that's clearly had his blessing in that sense. Traore was clearly okay, Sullivan would have liked it, but it was clearly a Nuno signing. Forget the bloke was playing tonight. It's not in the grand scheme of things. Disasi, I'm a little bit more undecided. I don't think that Nuno's gone and went, I want Disasi. He went, I want Traore, but he hasn't gone, I want Disasi. If I'm honest, that's just what's had to happen after the mess we found ourselves in. I think he'd have preferred a couple more players, like most of us. I think he'd have preferred a midfielder, a winger, and a centre back, 3 more players. But I do agree, Sam, that he's probably had the biggest say managers have had since Moyes. He's had more of a say than Potter and Lopetegui, I'd say. It seems like they've worked together better than the previous 2 managers.
Yeah, I always felt with Lopetegui that for every player Lopetegui signed, there was a signing that probably wasn't a Lopetegui signing. And look, whether that is the chairman, whether it is the scouting network, whether it's
That was also a time where Tim Steidten was still involved under Lopetegui, so he signed a lot of players there. So there was about 4 people having a go there.
Yeah, there were lots of players, and I think that window with Steidten, he was terrible. I think we can all say, it was telling that when we got rid of Lopetegui, we went, look, Steidten, you can go as well at the same time. I think Potter probably got a little bit more saves. He brought in his own recruitment team with him. But it also just feels like a little bit like in a lot of places we've sort of built for, if it wasn't Nuno anymore for whatever reason, we've not brought in players that wouldn't work with someone else. We haven't brought in sort of system players that are only going to work with one, with sort of one way of working. But yeah, who knows? Who knows? Hopefully, we're going to have a stable manager for years to come, and we're going to see some success. But we'll see.
You're joking, aren't you? You're joking.
Yeah, it was said a little bit tongue in cheek, but we were in as bad a position when Moyes took over. And
it's almost identical, really. If we get out of this now, it is almost identical. Everybody wrote us off in COVID. We were all sat at home, had nothing to do, and we thought we were down, and we had to wait, and we performed a great escape. And look, it would have helped if we held on Saturday, but we're still in with a chance. And by the way people are talking about Burnley, it's either going to end us or it's going to rally us on Saturday. I think, and listen, we'll talk about that more on the preview, but that's either going to end us or rally us, in my opinion, because of how poor they seem to have been after 3. I mean, they've had 3 consecutive draws against big teams: Spurs, Liverpool, and Man United. Their last 3 games before tonight, they've got a point in every single one of them. So they're not exactly rolling over to big teams. Maybe, hopefully we can win. But that's not today's problem when we're in transfer wonderland. So yeah. At the end of the day, we've got to hope that these are Nuno signs. We've got to hope that he's happy. We've got to hope that on Thursday or Friday, when Nuno comes out in his pre-match presser, that he doesn't sit there and go, no, I wanted 4 more players and Sullivan didn't sign them, because then there will literally be riots, which we don't want. And I think Nuno's probably switched on enough to probably say, tight-lipped. Even if he sat there with a glass of red tonight in Newham Hospital, thinking, "I wish, I wish I had another couple of players." But overall, so we've gone through the incomings, we've gone through the outgoings, we've gone through the baggage. We're going to talk about Disasi in a second. So out of 10, putting Disasi to the side, before today, before today kicked off, what would you have given it out of 10, Sam?
Weirdly, I've written down marks out of 10 for every signing and sale. So
Wow.
I know, we genuinely didn't rehearse this. So in terms of the signings, I've gone with 2 7s, 2 6s, and a 4. The 4 for the Venezuelan bloke, and it was a 3,
Okay.
but I've upped him for the goal.
Because he scored, he's up to 4.
Yeah, he's scored, but genuinely, I thought we wouldn't ever hear from him again. He would be one of those players that we signed. Like, why have we signed him on loan? We're never going to hear from him. We're never going to hear about it. And yeah, what's the point?
Carlos Tevez. Carlos Tevez.
No, we bought Carlos Tevez. That was the whole problem, is that we bought Carlos Tevez, but we didn't properly buy him.
I wasn't born, all right? Cut me some slack. I wasn't born. I'm trying.
You got born when Tevez played for us.
2007, wasn't it? 2007?
I don't know, but you've made me feel very old. So thanks. I'm pretty sure I was at university. But yeah, I think in terms of the outgoings, I think you've got to give it a good mark. I think we've got good money for bad players and Paquetá. I've given the outgoings probably a 7 out of 10, but I would have kept one of Irving and James Ward-Prowse. I think that's the but. And I think, again, with the players in, it's all good, but one of them is a Venezuelan 19-year-old on loan, and we don't know who he is.
Precisely. It wouldn't be West Ham without it, would it? Just a bit of news. Now, there's a few people starting to get a little bit touchy on Twitter because they're not entirely sure what is going on. And somebody has just tweeted 30 minutes to go ? And Sean Whetstone has replied, "Don't worry, everything is under control." So we could be imminently expecting an announcement at 9 o'clock. We don't know. We've not had any more confirmation on that, but we could be 6 minutes away from probably one of the most dramatic and underwhelming signings from West Ham in recent history. Sam, aren't you excited?
But it could also be that this is the signing that makes or breaks our season.
Yeah.
There was lots of moaning at the beginning of January that we couldn't score goals, but actually I've never really felt that's our problem this season. We have now introduced more goals and we are scoring more goals and we look much better going forward.
It's always been defensively. It's always been defensively.
So ultimately our season is decided by this guy that possibly or possibly not doesn't want to be playing for West Ham, but definitely wants to be trying to force his way into the, I think he's French, but into the France squad again. He wants the minutes, he wants to be playing, so he's going to have to play well. Look, he's going to be an upgrade on Max Kilman, almost certainly. And I'd like to hope that it might also give Kilman a bit of space to maybe try and get some confidence back, because actually, if he's not having to sit on the bench every week, he can go and play maybe in the under-21s for a few games. Actually remember what he does, because he has been a good player elsewhere. Sunderland have managed to make a signing while they're playing, which is impressive. West Ham never managed that. In years and years and years, they have managed to outdo West Ham in being the team playing on transfer deadline day. But look, he's got to be an improvement on what we've got. I think he's going to be an improvement on Igor, who did nothing for us really. Maybe he
to be fair, I mean, yeah, he had the one game at Bournemouth when it was teaming it down with rain. I was lovely tucked up in a hospitality box. That was a good day. And
I didn't think you could remember that day.
It was a good one. It was also a very free one. It was very, very good. But anyway, that's besides the point. He played in a back three there. He just decided to do a back three and chuck Igor in there. He didn't look out of place. He didn't do much, but he didn't look out of place. Then we didn't see him again. So my argument is, when we look back at this tomorrow and when I reflect on it, once I've got some sleep and sanity back, when I reflect on this tomorrow, one of my first questions is going to be, why didn't we just keep Igor? Why have we gone through all this hassle, pain, trauma, effort, final
There
minutes.
must have been something that Nuno didn't like with Igor, because it like if he was worse than Max Kilman, given the mistakes that Kilman has made and given the lack of confidence Kilman has had, then I think that says quite a lot about the level that Igor must have been. And he came into the club choosing us over Palace so as that Liverpool didn't get Gay. Palace obviously looking at him thinking he was a replacement for Mark Gay, which says a lot about their scouting network.
Yeah.
And then actually he wasn't. He definitely isn't a replacement for Mark Gay. I think we can definitely say that that's definitely the case. Disasi feels like he's probably a step up from Eagle. This is a guy that Chelsea signed for quite a lot of money only sort of 2-3 years ago. And okay, he hasn't got into their first team squad, but or their starting team or whatever. But it feels like he's probably a better player, and he's probably playing for. He's going to be playing for a contract somewhere else.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
Look, that probably isn't West Ham. Even if we stay up, he probably doesn't want to stay at West Ham. But let's hope he's playing to try and get a move somewhere.
Sure.
And he could well be a Lingard.
Yeah, I mean, he's undoubtedly got something to play for, and we are just over 120 seconds away from finding out whether we're going to get an official announcement on the dot at 9 o'clock. So before we do that, there is currently over 50 people watching this, and I can guarantee there's a lot of you that haven't voted in our amazing poll, which is gaining a lot of traction, I must say. We're up to 74 votes on our poll, and it's been neck and neck, and it's been riveting watching it as it's gone, up and down over the last hour or so. So we currently have yes 55%, no 45% on is Axel Disasi a good signing for West Ham. We're about to find out whether it's actually going to happen or not, because concern and anxiety is increasing tenfold. 8 minutes, where is he? 5 minutes, how have we managed to cock this up? Is the 2 tweets I've just seen on Twitter. So people are beginning to get a little bit unnerved by it. Let's take some of your comments live on YouTube, and then we will get over. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to screen share. I'm going to put the West Ham Twitter page up, and we're all going to see it live on the screen. This is going to be exciting, and the biggest anticlimax ever, when I guarantee that they won't announce them at 9. But there's a chance. Right, we've got a minute to go. Hit that like button if you haven't already. If you wanted Adama so bad, surely we had some. Surely he had some kind of plan for him besides bringing him on for Bowen. Potentially, he's worked with him before, so maybe, I don't know. Disasi and Todibo, 2 French centre backs, could work. That very true, but Todibo could be up for 3 games or more, unfortunately, if that does get elevated up. I've got a feeling it might do, but we will see. Right, we are seconds away, so I'm going to load up the West Ham Twitter page. This is very exciting. Sam, I mean, I can just tell from your body language you're excited.
Well, it's going to save me having to refresh it down manually.
Exactly.
So that's good.
Right, so let's bring it up on screen. We can also bring you confirmation that it has ended 3-3 at Middlesbrough. And we were 3-2 up, but it's been pegged back to 3-3 there. So they've bottled it as well. So we're just waiting.
Were we not 3-0 up in that game?
I think we were 3, something like that. Yeah. So the under 21s are following the same path. Right, it's 9 o'clock. Let's have a refresh. Are we going to have anything? I highly doubt it. But the limbs, if it is, here we go. Right. Are we going to have anything? No, not yet, but we'll leave it a second. Sometimes Twitter, when you schedule a tweet, sometimes Twitter is a little bit slow about it. So 9 o'clock was the cutoff. We have now reached that cutoff, Sam. So if it isn't in by now, it's curtains, right? We're done. The tension is just on another level. Let's try another refresh. No, it's still not there. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Right, so we're going to have to wait a little longer. We're not going to be, Sam, don't worry, we will go soon. I know you're.
No, it's fine. I'm looking to see if Steinberg or anyone else is saying anything, but nothing on Jacob Steinberg yet.
Nothing. Okay. Honestly, it's. I mean, nowhere else you'd rather be on a Monday night. You don't watch EastEnders or anything, do you, Sam?
No, but I'm missing Silent Witness now. So, but it's all right. I can watch it on catch up.
I don't know what that is. Is that a good program?
It's like a murder police
nice
drama.
Yeah. It's also trending on Twitter, so it must be good because I've just seen it pop up.
The new series. Well, that's trending in Disasi, isn't?
Exactly. Still nothing. So as things stand, West Ham are either teasing us or we have colossally ballsed it up.
To be fair, I would rather they were focused on getting the paperwork in by 9 than scheduling the tweet.
Well, that is very true, but I think it'll be different teams. You know, I mean, I'd like to think.
Who knows? Maybe we've sent the social media team home.
Maybe they're not doing overtime. Maybe Sullivan said we're not paying you overtime today. I can't afford that after Disasi.
Have you seen how much I want to pay this guy in great sausage rolls?
Exactly. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Have a go on the voting thing. We've got 66 people watching. Smash that like button. 67 people watching now. I won't make the joke, but there we go. So there's still nothing. Oh dear. That's poor. It's really poor.
As you know, I'm very young.
Yeah, nothing at 9 o'clock. So we have not yet to receive any announcement from West Ham. So they are making us wait. And now we've got to sit on our hands and see what we get from anybody. X is eerily quiet. Jacob Steinberg is eerily quiet. Sky have gone eerily quiet. I said earlier on, no news is not good news. I don't know. This is well before my time, but they ran out of fax paper, so deal off. I don't know what that means. Sam, do you know what that means? I don't know what that means.
Unfortunately, I do know. And I think there was one where a team couldn't get the fax machine to work or something, but I'm guessing that it isn't still fax machines. It must be email.
Oh,
now,
I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah, I can't believe that it's still a fax machine, but yeah, and I'm sure there was a deal. It might have even been West Ham a few years ago, where the fact that there was something wrong with the fax machine, or the fax machine wasn't working, or no one could find it, or something, and therefore the paperwork couldn't go to the FA in time.
Sounds like something West Ham would do.
It does sound really West Hammy, but maybe it's too West Hammy.
Maybe.
Someone else in the chat might remember.
There we go. Basically, what you're saying is someone else in your chat, in the chat might remember, who's slightly older than me. Go on, say that. Our house is quiet. All right. Fine. I know where I'm not wanted. I know when I'm not wanted.
He doesn't say that he's happy it's quiet. He just says that it's quiet.
Yeah, but there's an insinuation there, isn't there? We all know there's an insinuation. Probably sent on what? Yeah, they probably. This is it, right? They probably sent it on WhatsApp, and they sent it at 8:59, and like there was no 2 ticks. It was just 1 tick.
Good.
Like, and there's no sign of any blue ticks. It's just 1 tick. Oh dear. What about that? You must be about mid-50s, Sam. I'd take offence to that.
Peter. Mid-50s. I said I was at university when Tevez played. I've given away my age in that. Definitely not mid-50s. I'm hurt.
No. Oh, 9 o'clock has been and gone. It's not going to happen, is it? I'm telling you now, it's not going to happen.
Steinberg, West Ham awaiting confirmation, but it seems everything has been sorted in time for Disasi to join on loan.
Is it?
Yeah, Steinberg has said that 39 seconds ago.
47 seconds ago. There we go. You're on it. You are on it.
But I've been refreshing it a lot. Yeah.
There we go. So Jacob Steinberg to our saviour, West Ham awaiting confirmation. See, again, the door is ajar. That and go, West Ham are awaiting confirmation, but it seems everything has been sorted in time. I've been supporting West Ham long enough to know that is not confirmation.
It's definitely not confirmation.
It seemed there's a lot of sort of.
I wonder if this is a little bit giving away the level of Steinberg's source, that he's phoned them up at 9 o'clock and go, did it go through on time? And basically saying, well, we've submitted everything in time, but no one's told me yet. Like,
exactly, that's probably what it is.
Is that basically what he's saying, that his source isn't David Sullivan, that his source is actually the team, like someone in the, I don't know, in the canteen?
I think it's fair to say, yeah. I mean, I think it's fair to say Jacob Steinberg's source isn't David Sullivan, considering the pretty damning articles that Jacob Steinberg has released in recent weeks. None more so than a full interview with one of the men that have been banned for holding up the "It's time to sell, name your price" banner from the Sunderland game. So I don't think he's on David Sullivan's Christmas card list. to be honest. But you never know. He might have a love-hate relationship with old Dave. You see, you never know. You never know. So look. It's probably going to get done. We're having a laugh by it, Sam. But overall, let's seriously talk about it for 10 minutes before we go. So,
Claret and Hugh have announced it now as well.
Have they? Okay. So we're probably going to have a 9:15 or 9:30 announcement for Disasi. So, a player that probably doesn't want to come, a player that's not overly bothered, a player that hasn't played in the Premier League consistently for well over a year. Is he the player that we need right now? I think the answer to that is pretty simple. But with the situation that we've been left, he's better than nothing.
Look, he's better than Kilman. And I think that's where we are. Fabrizio Romano has announced it now as well. So I think he's probably... I like Jacob Steinberg because he, as you say, he doesn't take the ball too seriously. But if Fab's saying here we go, then you know we've got the go ahead. Is he who we'd have picked at the beginning of the window? No.
No.
Is he any one of the club's first choice? No. Are we his first choice? No. Does he have to play well between now and the end of the season, or he's absolutely in the football scrap heap? Yes. And do we need a player that has got to fight to not be in the football scrap heap because he'll go back to Chelsea and be chucked out with the kids again? Yeah. So probably not a match made in heaven, but I think it's a good match.
Right. We've got some details, okay? We've got some details from Sean Whetstone, right? So I haven't read it, but I've seen numbers, right? So let's read this together. West Ham will pay Chelsea a loan fee of around £1.68 million for the pleasure of Disasi. This will cover his £80,000 per week wages until the end of the season. West Ham will pay Chelsea a loan fee.
Yeah,
right, so we're paying... Right, so we're paying So we're paying his wages, but we're not paying him. We're paying Chelsea, who are still going to pay him. Right. Yeah. I'll bring this up onto the screen. There we are. So that's what we've seen. Chelsea signed the French centre-back from Monaco in 2023 for £38 million. Blimey, I didn't know it was that much.
That's Max Kilman money.
It is. He has made 50 appearances for the West London side before falling out of favour. Disasi moved to Monaco from Rennes, where he spent 4 years and featured for France in the 2022 World Cup, making 3 appearances. He spent the second half of the season on loan at Aston Villa. I didn't know that. Where he made 10 appearances and was often deployed as a right back. Well, the plot thickens. A right back versatility option as well. Not that we necessarily need it, but push comes to shove, potentially. So again, going back to the conversation we had a little bit earlier on, it doesn't seem like we're actually dealing with Disasi here. It seems like we've been dealing with Chelsea. We're paying a lump sum of £1.68 million to cover his wages and a bit on top. So whether there's a separate contract and deal for a signing on bonus and extra add-ons and all the rest of it, I don't know. But so we're actually paying Chelsea, not Disasi, for wages.
I think that's fairly standard. Because you're not going to start sorting out different contracts and whatever for 6 months. I think that's fairly standard with a loan. There's nothing there about us paying him extra money, which makes me think it probably was more game time. If there was complications, which, as I say, who knows whether there were or not. I think it might have been more around game time and whatever. Fun facts about Disasi that I was told earlier, so I'm not going to take all the credit for it, because it was told to me, but it wasn't told to me by Twitter. He was the first Frenchman to make his debut during a World Cup since 1966.
Really? 1966?
So there you are. There's a little fun fact for you. It feels like something that Larry should really have come out with, because he'd have said it much better than me.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Thank you very much, Harry, for the £2 donation. That is greatly appreciated. That could get me some more M&Ms when I run out of these. Thank you very much indeed. Fabrizio Romano gave it Here We Go at 9:06, and all of the right sources are beginning to come out. All we need is some lovely emojis from our good friend X, and then we are there and ready to go. So we could have, it could be any minute. They could schedule it for 9:30. I will guarantee you we will not be here at 9:30, but it seems like we are well on the way. Fabrizio Romano, Excel Disasi to West Ham. Here we go. Deal completed in time and approved. Understand West Ham and Chelsea have agreed all terms of a loan deal until the end of the season. Medical done earlier and documents are now okay. Here we go. Axel Disasi for West Ham. So add to your ratings out of 10. Sam, what are you rating Axel Disasi?
Well, it's difficult to give someone a rating that hasn't ever played, but I wrote 6 out of 10 earlier.
Standard.
And in exactly the same way as Venezuelan bloke can get some more points if he scores more goals. Look, if we get a clean sheet and he's in the back four, I think he goes up. If we score a goal from a corner, and let's face it, he looks like the kind of player that will score some goals from corners, then I think again it can go up. He's played for Chelsea. He's played quite a lot of games for Chelsea, as you were just saying. Yeah, he's fallen out of favour, but the amount of different managers they get through, that's no different to
it's not
to
hard,
Ward-Prowse, is it really? And that didn't make Ward-Prowse a bad player overnight. He just wasn't that manager's kind of style. And yeah, with the amount of hoarding of players again that Chelsea do, yeah, I think ultimately it's got to work for us. It's we've got to be better defensively. We've got to stop shipping 2-3 goals a game. We've got to stop conceding in every game. But look, if that signing wins us 5 points between now and the end of the season, then we stay up. I think it's as simple as that. You look at the teams we've got to play. That will be the difference between us staying up and going down. And that doesn't seem like it's an impossibility considering how bad we've been at the back. That's one less goal conceded at the weekend. That's one less goal conceded against Bournemouth away when we had to bring Myers on. It's one less goal conceded against whoever else it was. Was it Brighton where exactly the same thing happened? Look, we've got those points just from those 3 games that actually you go, look, you know what, we could have done that if we had a slightly better centre back. We were slightly better at the back if we knew how to defend a corner. So it doesn't feel like that's a massive ask from him between now and the end of the season. So it could be a massive signing for us. It could be a massive signing.
Absolutely. Troj, it took all day to get it down from 1.69 million to 1.68 million. That's what's been the hold up all day. And they've met in the middle with 1.68 plus a sausage roll. That's what they've met at. And a warmed up one as well.
Maybe that's what they were arguing about. That they wanted to do it with a too good to go bag. And Chelsea were having nothing from the too good to go bag.
Sullivan was going through it thinking, there's 4 sausage rolls here, have them, part of the deal. And they go, no, we don't want your mouldy sausage rolls.
You can have a club sandwich as well. I've got a club sandwich.
I've even got a jam donut. Go on, have that. Have that, you jammy gits. No.
He wasn't giving up the jam donut. He'd eaten the jam donut between Greg's and getting to the ground.
Oh, dearie me. Oh, there we go. We will start wrapping things up very soon. Noosh, at 6 out of 10, Disasi rates higher than my 4 out of 10 rollover hot dog at the bridge on Saturday. Here we go. It did look.
And you look like you enjoyed that hot dog. You look like you enjoyed that hot dog more than 4 out of 10.
It didn't look great. I'll be totally honest. And to be fair, Terry, I thought that I thought you'd scoped it out and you knew it was a rollover, and to be fair, Terry, you did know what was coming and you were ready to accept it, and you did accept it like a champ. So well done. And I commend anyone that paid £6.90 and ate one of those glorious hot dogs on Saturday. I had a lovely bottle of water after a pub crawl around Earl's Court, which consisted of 2 pubs, but that's enough.
Does 2 pubs classify as a pub crawl now?
Yeah, it does classify as a pub crawl in my mind. Right, it's 9:15. Should we see whether we are having an official confirmation announcement? If not, it's my final straw. We've had Fabrizio, we've had Jacob Steinberg, we've had Sean Whetstone. He's coming, barring an absolute major catastrophe now. So I think we will leave there. Before we do, there's one thing we have to do first. Actually, there's two things we've got to do first. First of all, we've got to end our poll and see where we got to with that. So, final call with the poll whilst I read one of our fabulous jokes as a parting gift for the evening. Where did I get to? Right, let's have a little look here. I've done all these. I don't trust stairs. They're always up to something. I think I've done that one before.
Yeah, I think you've done that one before. That's an old joke.
Yeah. How do you make holy water? That's a good one. How do you make holy water?
I don't know.
It's been a long day. You boil the hell out of it.
Oh, God.
I'm actually going to look at how long I've been on here today. Right, bearing in mind I did a 10-minute video this morning. I did a 30, so that's 40 minutes with the Premier League roundup show. I also then did half an hour there, so that's an hour, 2 hours. What have we been on here? Right, so I've done, what was it, 2.5, 3.5, I don't know. Plenty of hours of live YouTube today. So I hope you've all enjoyed it. One thing I will say, thanks to everybody who's got involved. Michael in the chat has been excellent. He's been here basically through all of it from this afternoon, this evening, and late evening. He's been here through it all. And Sam, to be fair, whether you've been on here or you've been in the chat, you've been in with it when you probably should be.
Tell my boss.
Yeah. Sam's been here as well, but he hasn't. He's been hard at work, but all good. Oh, Barry, you love the jokes. You'll come to love the jokes, my friend. Honestly, they're brilliant. My mind is an encyclopedia of comedy, as everybody is aware. But with the poll, it's time to end it. So we have had 86 votes, and it's 55-45 in favour of an Axel Disasi move to West Ham. Do you think that's fair? And a quite big portion of trepidation from the fans there. 45% out of 86. That's quite a few fans not thought on it. What do you think about that?
I think a lot of the down votes, the no's, seem to come before it was announced. There seemed to be a real run of no's, and then the yeses sort of came back. So ultimately, we don't know, but he's got to be an improvement on what we've got. It's a little bit of extra stability at the back. It means we've now got 4 central defenders, if you want to include Max Kilman, which we probably should. But look, we've got 4. We need those. We've got Steve-O out for a few weeks. It's a necessary signing. And I think at the beginning of the window, everyone said Tito who, Pablo who, and we've been so much better now that they're sort of there, and they're sort of working for us. So, yeah, let's be positive. Let's be positive.
Yeah, and as Barry says, we needed someone. We needed someone. Cheers, Tommy. Thank you very much. Peter, you love him really. I know it. I know it. He will either get sent off, give away a penalty, or get sent off. He will either get sent off, give away a penalty, or get sent off on debut. So Peter's very adamant he's going to get sent off on his debut. Now, will that debut be on Saturday? That is a preview topic, and I'm gonna let Sam go and watch Silent Witness, and probably sit down in a dark room, to be honest, because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn the light off and just lie, just have a little bit of decompression after 3 hours and 43 minutes of YouTube content produced today here on West Ham Official, as well as short videos being uploaded as well. Call it nearly 4 hours with thumbnails and all the rest of it. See,
and they say that university's hard work.
And I've done 4 hours of university today as well, right? So I've all in thumbnails, videos, and all the rest of it. I've done 5 hours YouTube and 4 hours today.
So you've done a whole working day.
I've done a whole working day. I think that deserves a round of applause, really. I mean, I'm going to give myself a round of applause. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We will have a Burnley preview at some point. I'm in contact with our glorious Burnley fan, Dan, who we will have here to take the mick out of and pick his brain about Burnley some point this week. But I think he's currently not too happy as his side are losing away at Sunderland. So I'm going to go and watch. Actually, I'm going to go and watch the final 20-25 minutes of that game. Sam's off to watch Silent Witness. Sam, thank you very much indeed for all of your input and contributions today.
No worries, mate. No, thank you for keeping it keeping us all entertained all day today. You certainly kept me entertained.
I try my best. And my final question is, what do those words on your T-shirt mean? It's been bugging me for the last 2 hours.
I think it's sun, sea, and sand. More is definitely.
You don't even know what
yeah.
it is.
Well, I had to. It's sun, sea, and sand.
Sun, sea, and sand. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Hey ho. Right, there we are. Thank
Three
you very
things
much
you
indeed.
don't get in Wales, but yet they do have words for them.
Yeah, exactly. It's 3 things you don't get in Wembley either, really: sun, sea, and sand. You get a bit of sun, no sea or sand, but you know.
No sea, yeah.
Hey ho. Thank you everybody for getting involved in the live chat throughout the day. It's been one hell of a ride. And we are still none the wiser. No, we are wiser. We are very much on the brink of knowing that Axel Disasi is a West Ham player, and hopefully 9:30 or 10 o'clock it will be announced. But Dwight McNeil is not going to Crystal Palace. He was going there earlier, but he's now not. So still deals going on and off as the transfer window was slammed shut. But that is the nature of the beast. From us and from me for one final time today, come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.
And we will see you soon right here on West Ham Unofficial. Yeah, deadline day. It's been a pleasure. I'll see you in August, and I'll see you all soon. Thanks, Sam. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.